people from military, aerospace, and science backgrounds reach out to him with more UFO information. And now his goal with SALT is to crack open anti-gravity and multi-dimensional scalars. So I decided to ask him about John Smith's experience in the Indian Ocean and the question, how do UFOs block radar and weapon systems? David says he thinks the answer is subatomic manipulation by the very advanced intelligences in UFO UAPs.
Let's say you are on that ship and you are a Navy patrol officer trying to lock on to the craft. The radar is telling you that it's detecting something, then it's not, but you could clearly see with your eyes or binoculars there's a fleet of something there, right? So imagine, for example, with your radar, trying to lock on sort of the same way you would point a flashlight or a laser beam at the craft. And there are multiple different ways that the craft can avoid radar detection or locking in or on. One of the key ways is the manipulation of heat, light, and what we call mass. So basically what would happen is, imagine shining a flashlight at somebody, but when you shine it at the person, that person, for example, is, let's just say hypothetically, is wearing a suit where they're expecting your particular flashlight to shine on them at some point. They pre-planned for this. Whenever that particular light density is shone on them, their suit will immediately push and shift not just the heat spectrum, but the light spectrum out of their way, so that the radar is pointed in that direction, and in this example, the flashlight would be the radar. You see the craft with your own eyes or with binoculars, but the radar cannot lock on because of the subatomic perturbation in heat, light, delta T variable, known for those that are more into science, and mass. Think about rolling a bowling ball on a bed, and every time you move that bowling ball, there is a little bit of depth at the bottom of the ball because it's pushing down, put a little bit of weight into the bed. Think about the bed as the sky. And whenever a light is shone on the bowling ball, and the bowling ball would be the craft, the bowling ball immediately shifts or does a little twist where at the subatomic level changes the flashlight shining to a different energy density. So to recap, this flashlight represents the radar, the bowling ball represents the craft, the bed represents the space-time, the reality we're living in. And it's essentially at the subatomic level, sort of like how you tune a preamp when you're playing guitar or something like this, or in your car, turning up or down the volume on the knob. You're adjusting the density of the heat and light to avoid the radar.
So the craft itself is still exactly where it was and where the men are seeing it on the USS Gompers. They're seeing these 15 UFOs in the sky in different colors. But what you're saying is that the ETs inside of those craft have the technology to be able to change the heat, affect the frequency of the light so that the craft disappear to radar.
Precisely. Radar is meant to detect the current environment of the light and heat spectrum. If you begin to shift in and out of that very quickly or